Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MLS Moves. Please make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are back with another MLS Cup Playoff watch along. Tonight we have the LA Galaxy and Colorado Rapids. We will see if the LA Galaxy can get their first playoff win in 2 years. And it's going to be a tough opponent against the Colorado Rapids. Now, the Rapids, Jordi Mihailovic is out with an injury, but still, this is a very tough team. I don't think it's going to be an easy win for the LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy are undefeated at home this year, but I think the LA Galaxy will pull this off, and it's going to be a close match. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think the score of this match is going to be. Agent Winners says first. Agent Winners, appreciate you tuning in tonight. Also, make sure you share the stream with a friend. Let's try to grow the audience as much as we can. Have a good night. See if the LA Galaxy can get a playoff win at home tonight, and or see if the Colorado Rapids are able to pull an upset. Agent Winners says the LA Galaxy are going to win 3-1. I think that there is a chance that that they're going to have a good night. Obviously, they have the attacking talent to pour it on and to really make it difficult for teams to win. They remind me a lot of Inter Miami, and they also have a leaky defense like Inter Miami does, a very subpar back four. But I don't know. I think it could be an interesting matchup. I think that the Colorado Rapids are a team that can punch above their weight, even if they're not as talented on paper. I do think they have a lot of good players. And I think that this could be an interesting matchup, and it could go either way. It really could. Now, like I said, it's going to be an uphill battle because they have not lost a home game this year, the LA Galaxy. But we will see if the Chris Armas and the Colorado Rapids can be the first team this year. The KBZ says, "What's up? It's your boy, All Out Soccer. Hey, what's up, man? Appreciate you tuning in. What do you think the score of the game is going to be tonight?" I haven't checked the Discord to see. We have a Discord, by the way. Link is in the description if you want to join our Discord. Just to talk about MLS and the USMNT. I'm curious if we've had any score predictions in the Discord. See what people think that the score line is going to be. Looking at this, I'm looking at the starting 11 for the LA Galaxy. Looks like there is no. I haven't looked at the starting 11 tonight so far. Looks like there's no Marco Royce in the starting 11. Got Marky Delgado in the midfield. Edwin Cerrillo starting as the defensive midfielder. Obviously, Ricky Puig in the midfield. But the front three is the best 11, or their best 11. Joseph Paintsil, Joveljic, and Gabriel Peck. And they have Garces, Yamane, Yoshida, and John Nelson starting at left back. Very surprised to see Julian Aude not starting at fullback tonight. That's definitely interesting. And then obviously the Colorado Rapids are without they're without Jordi Mihailovic, their best player this season. Will be interesting to see if they are able to win without him. Now Zach Steffen's obviously been pretty decent, I guess, this year. Some people would disagree with that because they have conceded a lot of goals, but I think that he has had a bounce back season compared to what he's done in Europe the last couple of years. He hasn't really got a lot of playing time. Agent Winner says, "I'll join the Discord." Yep, more than welcome to. There's a link in the description for you to join. I gotta go Galaxy 2-1. The Galaxy front three is spectacular, but that back line, yikes. Okay, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, Agent Winners, but I'll tweet a link out in a little bit about the Discord server. Yeah, but back to the back line being bad. It's very suspect. I'm not sure that they have enough to. It's just very inconsistent. They're going to have to be more. They're going to have to be better if they want to make it to the MLS Cup. They're going to have to not concede any late goals. They're going to have to try to. They're going to have to try to play more cohesively. And Yoshida, which he's had some good games this year, but he's 36 years old. It's going to be hard to count on him. But obviously the young Colombian center back they signed, I think, is really good. Hey, guys, just give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. My apologies for that. I had to let my dog outside real quick. She was driving me crazy at the door. Um, Rich Smith says, I have no preference for either team, but I think the Galaxy will win 2-1. I think the Galaxy have such a lethal attack in Peck and Paintsel and Joveljic, and obviously they have Ricky Puig pulling the strings. They have the potential to score with the best of them. Even when they're down, they still can, make a comeback. So we just have to see how they play and if they're consistent, and we'll have to see if Ricky Puig shows up, because there's been some instances in the past where he has kind of disappeared. It's a pretty interesting tifo they got too. I'm just kind of surprised that Marco Royce isn't starting tonight. Maybe they're trying to save him for further down the stretch of the playoffs, but I figured they would try to integrate him more because they want to they want to have him ready, especially down the stretch, because I feel like they're going to count on Marco Royce if they want to make a playoff push. Now, obviously, he's kind of a liability defensively. We know that their defense isn't very good, but I am surprised that he's not. I am surprised that he's not starting. He's not in the starting 11 tonight. I think they will be fine with this series, but against the top teams like Miami or the Crew at this stage, will eat that back line up. If Peck was to win Newcomer of the Year over Suarez, I wouldn't even be mad. My man is a legit baller. Yeah, I think Gabriel Peck is the Newcomer of the Year. He's got 15 goals, 14 assists. I think he's been the Galaxy's best player this year. I mean, Puig has been very good too, and I'm a big Puig believer. If you guys have followed me on Twitter, you would know I'm a big Puig fan. But I think that we got the kickoff. But I would say that it's actually an early kickoff too. It wasn't like 20-minute delay like it was last night. I would say that Puig is it's close, but Peck is just different. He's just got that X factor about him. He's got the pace, the dribbling. He can score it at any time. By the way, did you guys see the salaries for did you guys see the salaries that were released for MLS and see that Paintsel's making like 4.1 mil? Thought that was kind of crazy. If Colo takes it, I won't be mad. LAFC for the cup. We got my good friend Mo joining us. He's going to join us for the stream tonight. Bring him in. Mo, how's it going, man?
Oh, living the dream. Big neutral is awesome.
Yeah, hey, no heartbreak, right?
No, not.
No heartbreak. And real quick too, Timothy Park says Holden Trent, rest in peace. Yeah, I didn't read what exactly happened to him, but I saw that the 25-year-old goalkeeper for the Philadelphia Union passed away. So yes, definitely send condolences to his family, and just an absolute tragedy, and rest in peace, and thoughts and prayers with his friends and family. But Mo, we got an interesting matchup here tonight. LA Galaxy, Colorado Rapids. Colorado Rapids are a scrappy, bargain hunting team that don't spend a lot of money, but they can punch above their weight, right? And then the LA Galaxy are adapting to the new Major League Soccer. They're spending money on younger players, no-name players too. Not to say they're bad, but like players that haven't really built their name out yet, like they used to. Sign players like Robbie Keane, Beckham, Gerard, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. What are you looking for tonight in this matchup?
I think probably for me the biggest part is, I guess, Colorado is the part to where they've lost 4 games in a row. So see what kind of their state of mind is, but also LA Galaxy having to lost the first place in the Western Conference. So I guess it will just determine on which of those 2 teams come up after a disappointed lost and losing their position.
Do you think the LA Galaxy are a serious contender this year for the cup?
Absolutely, they've shown that they are. It just happened that maybe they fell asleep the last game. but they've shown from the very beginning of the season that they were about business. So
Yeah,
they're a contender. Yeah.
I'm a little concerned. The chat's brought this up too about their back line. It's kind of inconsistent. It's a little old.
Right.
But they kind of remind me of Inter Miami. They have this great attacking talent and a very suspect back line. Now, Miami obviously has a fullback like Jordi Alba, who's almost a third winger, if you want to call it that, just because of the playmaking ability he has. So maybe that's the advantage they have in the attack is they have better attacking fullbacks. But Miami and the Galaxy really remind me a lot of each other just because even if their backlines are bad, they could easily score 3-4 goals on you in a game.
Yeah. Well, your best defense is your best offense, right? So if you keep the ball in the middle of the pitch or up top and give your defense maybe one or two occasions to defend, they're almost non-existent, right? And experience definitely helps at the same time too.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that the Galaxy they're going into the playoffs in a season where I think the LAFC is a little vulnerable because I'm pretty sure you and I've talked about Giroud, not that he's not good. He's a very good player, right? He's a French legend, but he's not necessarily fitting into what the LAFC are doing. They're not really playing to his style. And
Right.
that's not really his fault. They just don't have the players to really suit him right now. So I think that could really hurt them in the playoffs and could be the deciding factor if they make it to the cup this year.
Yeah, and I think probably for LA, what might work for them now is that they were sort of had a break also, so it'd probably be more of work some of those kinks for the playoffs versus and the way I see it is a lot of like we'll see Giroud, for example, that was kind of a emergency purchase where he was not sure at the beginning of the season he was coming anyways. So it was more of a luxury to bring him at that moment. Um, I never fault a player for coming
Ooh,
technically mid-season.
was close by Gabriel Peck. He's
Sure
threatening
is.
already.
Yeah, technically can mid-season. So unless you're one of those players that can run, the MLS is not one for you, and Giroud definitely will need some time to adapt.
Also, too, when he gets his good friend Griezmann, whenever that happens, I'm sure that it will change things up. But that's why I'm kind of skeptical about LAFC because they aren't really they're winning and they're succeeding, but they're not necessarily playing to the level that maybe they should with a player like
Mhm.
Giroud. They're not really adapting to him, like I said. So I think that this could be the Galaxy's year. I predicted them to go to the final, the LA Galaxy this year.
Okay.
I think they just have the players they have fit together a little better, right? It's like I said, the defense is definitely a question mark, the back four, but everything else really gels well together. And I feel like down the stretch, maybe even more in the summer, we're really starting to see all the wingers like Paintsel and Peck and Joveljic really start to sink, and Puig was starting to play a lot better. And they got their first win against the LAFC in the El Trafico in the
Nice
third game.
comeback. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that I think this is a dangerous team. Now, do I think they can beat Miami? Probably not, because they're not as good of a road playing team. But I
Mhm.
think but if there was any team in the league that could beat them, maybe outside of Columbus, I do think it would be the Galaxy.
Oh, for Miami, well,
Yes.
those yeah, definitely they won't put any suspicious defense. Miami will pretty much eat them apart. That's pretty much what just happened to Atlanta just not long ago. But I, I'll probably say LAFC might have just a little bit of an edge over
Really?
it.
Over the Galaxy?
I'll probably say so.
Really? Wait, real quick before we'll hold that thought
Oh,
for just 1 second. Let's read a couple
mhm.
comments. Cute Kenny says, "Hope your channel success always supports you. Appreciate it, Cute Kenny. Thank you so much." Matthew Dominguez says, "Let's go Dodgers." Last I saw, they were up like 4-1 in the bottom of the eighth inning. KBZ says, or K Busy says, heard Ian Frey's injury wasn't an ACL, but was in fact a meniscus injury, was gutted for him. Yeah, I don't know if you kept up with that, Mo, but Ian Frey has tore his ACL 3 times for Inter Miami, and he's only 22 years old. He had
Ooh.
another injury last night, which looked like another possible ACL injury because he was holding his knee. He was covering his face with his jersey, and he was crying. Absolutely, devastating for him because like I said, he's only 22. 3 ACL injuries is brutal no matter how old you are, but
No.
22 is Peck just wide. They're cooking right now. They're playing very, very well. LA Galaxy are threatening. This is the concern I have for the Rapids is that they called him offside. But this is the concern I have for the Rapids is that they don't have the firepower. It's going to have to be an ugly game in order for them to have a chance. K Busy also says, I think Giroud could dominate MLS like Suarez, but LAFC and Dolo are fast-paced, counterattacking soccer team, and Giroud sadly doesn't have the legs for that anymore. He needs to hold that ball up, which is kind of like what you said, right?
Yep. Exactly. So he always has his back to the goal majority of the time. And he needs, of course, like you say, Griezmann-like players, Drogba-like players that do all the creative part all the way to the final third. Then he either hold it or smash it into goals. That's his job. I don't know if it's Bouanga that needs to kind of drop behind Giroud maybe to do some of that at the moment. But I wouldn't have it past him. But his legs are not there. I would say probably his legs were never there. He was just happened to have that supporting, forwards to do the work through Arsenal, Chelsea, France, all of that. He had those players that in Pulisic that made him not having to do that much work.
Yeah, he's always been more of a hold-up striker, right?
Yes.
He's never really, like you said, been the guy doing all the running. But one thing that is good about him is that he has the playmaking ability to set his teammates up. Not a lot of holding strikers have that vision and the passing ability. Like me and you've talked about, he was, I think he led Serie A last year, getting a little chippy between Reggie Cannon and Joseph Painsil. He had led Serie A last year in assists at 37 years old as a striker, which was very impressive, obviously. And I think they're just going to have to, like we've talked about, they're just going to have to rework the formation and try to, like you said, a good point, maybe have Bouanga maybe play more underneath, Drew, maybe like Griezmann did with the French national team, like you've said many times, because I was the one kind of counteracting you saying, play Griezmann as a winger, and you were saying no, he needs to play underneath more as like a false 9 or a 10, and maybe that's what will unlock it. But hopefully they figure that out soon because he's 38 years old, I think now, or he'll be 38 pretty soon, and I don't know how many more years. I think he's got 2 years left on his deal, but they need to figure something out, especially with the salary he's being paid.
Yeah, he probably has maybe 2, maybe 3 at the max, I guess. But with how the MLS into traveling and the playing, maybe 2 years will be his final cash out, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah,
MLS is brutal.
No, it is. It is. Let's see. We got a couple other comments. Matthew says, how do you watch this without paying Apple any money? I don't think you can unless they have it for free or if it's on linear television, which I don't think the playoffs are on any linear channels. Agent Winter says, I got the Galaxy winning the whole thing. Well, you're a little ambitious. I think they'll make it, but I don't think that they're going to win it all. K Busy says, I have the Galaxy in either Miami or Crew in the finals with the East winning it. Yeah, I mean, I think that I think the East is a tougher conference, Mo. I don't know I know the West is good. I'm not trying to say it's bad, but I think the East is definitely a deeper conference from top to bottom. And the reason why that came down to the last day, 4 teams were battling for those last couple spots because it was so close. Whereas nobody was battling for a playoff spot in the final week of the Western Conference. I think the East is definitely deeper. And I would say that the Crew and Miami are probably the 2 best teams in the league, and the Galaxy are probably 3rd for me. Cruz, hey, you know how I feel about Wilfred Nancy. He's the best manager in the league, and that has to count for something. And they also have a very good team, so that's why I would give them an edge over the Galaxy more specifically.
Yeah, I guess he probably would outcoach LAFC, but LA Galaxy. But I'm waiting to see for the West, especially. I think just seeing the teams that are in the West, when you have the big spenders at the very top, and then after that, you go towards the second half of the Western Conference, it's more smaller market. So I don't see many teams like, St. Louis, Austin that will go and pay 10, 12, 15 million on a player.
No. And real quick too, just because we're going to touch a couple of subjects because I haven't talked to you in a bit, just
Yes.
pick your brain on a couple of these things. What are your thoughts on Bruce Arena, possibly going to San Jose?
Well, I guess if you follow me on Twitter, you will know that I'm not a big fan of recycling this exact same coaches over and over and over again, because it's almost like the same cycle. Even in Europe, you can count maybe in 10 fingers the same coaches that are being recycled. But then you watch the younger coaches when they come into the fold, they're actually doing better. If you say, we'll say Pep, for example, he's not part of that cycle of coaches that always gets a job all the time. And it looks like in MLS, Bruce Arena did win a lot of trophies and he was the US national. But to a point now, I'm starting to wonder, is it just because it's a safety blanket and it's an easy pick for a lot of people? But also, we still don't know why he got fired from or let go from his last job. So were they protecting him because there was almost a guarantee that he was going to get another job in MLS? So it's one of those things where I'm not a big fan of that part of it. Like Nazi would not have had his chance if they keep on recycling the same. And Pep would not. Mascara from Chelsea, all of these new coaches, even though they're older, would not have had their chance if someone else taken a chance on them.
No, I agree with that. I think with this circumstance, talking about San Jose, right? They've hit rock bottom. They are the worst team in the league. The fans don't care about the team. I don't think attendance is good at all. I think it's like probably 5,000 people if they're lucky. Oof. At their stadium, and they have a smaller stadium. I think they have the smallest stadium in the league. It's like 18,500 seat capacity. And also, too, like you just said, right? You said that Bruce Arena is a winner. He's won 5 MLS Cups, or maybe he's won. Yeah, I think he's won 5. I think he won 2 with DC and he won 3 with the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about a guy who has proven he can win. And I agree with you completely, Mo. I hate recycling bad coaches, but look what he was able to do with the Revolution. This was a team that historically was very cheap. They weren't consistent playoff contenders. And they were a team that if they had a good player, they would sell them. They wouldn't really keep them around for a long time. He was able to turn them around and break the MLS points record. And I think that what they're hoping for is that Bruce Arena can come in there, stabilize the situation, at the bare minimum, get them into the playoffs and just see what happens. And that I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, because he has proven, it's like Sir Alex Ferguson. If he wanted to come back and coach again, I'm sure somebody would give him a chance just because of what he did.
Wouldn't go back.
He would never come back. But if he did want to, I'm sure somebody would be willing to hire him.
Yeah. And I guess I'm just wondering for San Jose, are they going to give him the old way of, because Bruce Arena is like the Ferguson, so he will want to be the coach, but the sporting director. He will have, to be all of these roles at once. And I guess San Jose is going to spend crazy money.
I think they will. I think they will. I don't think because the Revolution were a very cheap club before he took over, and he got them to spend. Oh, that could have been bad. That could have been almost an own goal by Garces. That was kind of a dangerous clearance.
Don't do that.
But yeah, I think that they will. I think that's probably a stipulation. Like, hey, if I come here, you're going to have to help me out. Like, I can't win with a bad roster. You're going to have to give me a little money to spend. And I think he's the GOAT at building rosters that are competitive. Like, I'm not saying he's going to
Mhm.
win every year, but I think that if Bruce Arena goes to San Jose and they give him some money, Mo, and they did spend a little money on this Hernan Lopez guy they
Yeah,
signed this year,
that's not.
he,
Yeah.
he's like 7-8 million, which would be a record transfer fee for a lot of clubs in the league. I think that'd even be a record transfer fee for your club at St.
It
Louis.
should by a
By a
far.
lot, right? Yeah, by a
Yes.
lot. So they're showing that they can spend, but the key is to spend smartly, to
Right.
spend the correct way. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that. Now, this is another thing we need to talk about. There's a lot. We got to get through a
Uh-oh.
lot tonight, okay? So,
Let's
K
do it.
Busy, he brought up a good question or a good point. We've been talking about this a lot. He said, "Can we talk about how beneficial it's going to be for MLS to go to the new calendar schedule, as well as a Division One soccer, as well as Division One soccer doing the same?" So, what is your thoughts on this proposal of this new calendar for Major League Soccer?
I s- I guess there's two part. Like it because they will be following everyone else's calendar. So that means when you want to get a player with European teams, African teams, all that, there will be a lot less stipulation and debate on when that player can move. Um, I guess for us in St. Louis, depending on when they want to play those games, we might be in the sub-zero temperature. So we're talking, New England type temperatures, and I guess our first ever game was that cold. So I guess we'll still show up anyways. Um, but I do like that part. But I also saw that college soccer is also thinking about making those changes to kind of make it like a full circle. So I sort of appreciate that part too, because that will kind of help those players that are moving from college to MLS to kind of bring it more of like players being ready to play. But I don't know if 2026 might be like that might be early from what I'm thinking to make those changes. That's like a lot happening after a World Cup tournament.
Well, I think what their idea is that they want to, after the World Cup in 26, right? They want
Right.
their season to start right after, so that way they can promote like, hey, if you enjoyed the World Cup, if you enjoyed going to your local stadium and watching the game in person, Major League Soccer is starting up now, and they'll be able to get these players to leave at the end of the World Cup. Some of these players they'll probably sign. I expect them to spend a lot of money and probably bring in some big
Right.
names. They'll be able to come in at the beginning of the season with their new club and start fresh, right? No
Mhm.
having to integrate yourself like Giroud's having to do right now, and build chemistry with his teammates late into the season. So I think that is going to be a positive. And I still believe that Christian Pulisic will be in Major League Soccer after 2028 or
Ooh.
2026. I know he's playing really well right now, but I
Mhm.
think that after the 26 World Cup, he will come home and sign with them for the new league year. Now, what I'm curious about, Mo, and this is a concern I have, right? Because regardless of how they do it, there's going to be an awkward period, right? There's going to have
Oh
to be
yeah.
some weird year before they get to normal. If they okay, so let's say we do the 2025 season regular, like normal next year.
Mhm.
Do they play a half season in 26 and then take a summer break? Or do they just wait until they can't wait till August to start the season because all these players will be out of form for the World Cup? So how do they make? I mean, do they play a half season in 26 from February to June?
Yeah, that's gonna be a tricky one, and I think that's probably where the roster discussion might come up as well, because not all players will make their national team. So you might have your top 5 players in your team maybe that have played a tournament. Then they need to have a break. They need to have vacation. They have to recover. Then that's when you start talking how many players you have in your roster that actually can compete, but do you have enough of those players? Um, my Chelsea team, for example, they will never have that problem because they have 4 soccer teams in their roster, and so they can afford to lose 1 or 2 players. MLS teams, for example, if LA Galaxy loses Payne Steele for X amount of months and then Peck for X amount of month, it looks like their top players are all gone for 3 months after the World Cup. So I hope they're thinking about it now, how that's going to happen, but there will be some hard choices. And us soccer fans might have a problem also, watching a World Cup. We typically like to take a little break also. So are we going to be able to jump right into the season after that?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they implement it, but I do think it will be beneficial because right now, think about tonight, right? We had an entire day of college football, which I know you're not big into football, but it's popular. Obviously, it's very popular.
Yes.
So we're competing with college football right now, which was on all day. The MLB World Series Dodgers Yankees was on before this game, and they're having to play a playoff game at 11 o'clock at night Eastern time, 8 o'clock Pacific time. And they're competing with all these other sports right now in the most important time of their season, the playoffs. If this was happening in May, they would just be competing with basketball and hockey. That's all they would be competing with. That would help them so much more if that's what they're competing with versus this.
Yeah, and let's not forget they're also competing with USL, which just had their judgment day today, and then they have playoffs getting ready. So there's a whole bunch of how important games that are happening. And it sort of did, like you mentioned in your tweet, they did kind of a poor job at marketing. I would have expected that when we were on ESPN or maybe the other channels, that if there was an athletic sporting event, that maybe there was something in MLS that would have popped up somewhere that says, hey, we do have this also coming up. We have EPL games that show up and say, hey, while you're on commercial break, there's this game that's happening in the near future. So, but I'm not really sure how much competition, if we're really competing with college basketball, college football, how many of those that watch religiously are actually MLS fans?
I'm one
Is
of
it
them, honestly. I'm a big college football fan, an American football fan, and
right?
if there's a big game on, I'm gonna watch a football game. Now, the playoffs obviously is a little different, but there's people that might be like, "Do I want to watch this or do I want to watch my college football team?" Looks like
Right.
Paintsel is a little hurt right now.
Yeah, that's
But
not good.
before we get into it, let me first off like the show if you guys haven't already. Share with a friend. Get your friends in here. Come join me and Mo. We're gonna have a good discussion tonight. We're watching the Colorado Rapids take on the LA Galaxy in the MLS Cup playoffs for the first game in the first round. And also, guys, we are 575 subscribers away from 5K, Mo. We're going to hit that 5,000 before the playoffs is over with. I know we're going to do it with your guys' help. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And also, let us know in the comment section down below. Whose fault is it right now for MLS playoffs? Who is that to blame for the promotion? Is it more of MLS's fault or Apple's fault for the poor promotion of the MLS Cup playoffs thus far? We want to get you guys involved and see what you think about the poor promotion of Major League Soccer as playoffs thus far. I personally think it's Apple's fault because they're the broadcaster. They're the ones that are supposed to promote the product because they paid for the product. They're paid to have the rights exclusively to show the games, and it's their job to get people excited and engaged for it. So I think that they are definitely to blame. I haven't seen any promotion from their side. I got a text earlier today because I have an iPhone and I know you do as well. I got a text earlier today about Descend into Dystopian Hit Series returning November 15th on Apple TV. Got that text at 7 o'clock. I didn't get any text today about MLS Cup playoffs. I didn't get any text about update on the Inter Miami game last night. And so I mean, no text at all. They have all these people have iPhones who they could reach out to, and they haven't done that. And that's a tool that they could use because I think the predominantly Americans have iPhones. It's the most popular phone they have. All this outreach they could do, and I haven't even got a single text. Now I do get a text that the game's close, but what the hell? What about the beginning of the game?
Yeah, and I was at the trunk or treat with a whole bunch of kids and people that watch soccer. I had my phone because they all know I'm obsessed with soccer. So I had my phone and I was watching the game and they were asking me, "Hey, who's playing?" I'm like, "Who's playing?" Like, you just saw 15 kids with Messi kids. And so it's one of those things where even us as fans have to kind of tell people what we're watching because they know at 7:30 p.m. is there's no football, American football happening. So, but I think that's the scary part of the World Cup happening here is that how much promotion are they going to do and Apple will do to promote even because they don't have the rights to the World Cup. So would that be a external thing? And then they're like, hey, by the way, the MLS has players that plays in the World Cup? Or would that be a full blown marketing? Because Apple is global. So if Apple can promote that MLS to the rest of the world, they might even beat or be close to what FIFA can promote.
Yeah, and also too, I think what's going to be key for 2026 is I would assume Messi is going to play obviously in 26 and maybe even 2027. I think what's important is to get other players that are going to get people excited just for other games. Like if they sign Pulisic, which I told you I think is going to happen after the 26 World Cup, having someone like that who might not be the same, he's obviously not the same quality, but he's the same name recognition in this country. He's a very popular player. And I think having someone like that that gets people excited is good for the league. And it's not just either you're watching or Miami or, the casual fan's not going to watch it all. You have other teams that people want to see. And hopefully Griezmann's like that too, when he decides to come. But we need more stuff like that, more names instead of just hitting home and milking that cow dry like they have with Messi. One of my friends had posted in the comment that they spend all their marketing money on Messi and nothing else, which is kind of true. But they need to be able to they need to get people excited to watch this game, right? This is a good quality game. And then the Galaxy are a quality team and Colorado's a decent team. They need to get people excited about a matchup like this.
I don't know how much people will like that comment, but I think that marketing wise, if you think about it, Messi maybe for like the soccer fan that has a little bit of that knowledge and maybe a little bit outside of soccer will know who Messi is market wise. But Griezmann is like a huge American fan. He goes to basketball games, he goes to football games, he goes to baseball games. So when he goes to those events, people do know who he is. Even though we all know who Messi is, there's people that will walk right by him in this country still, not knowing who he is, unless there's 10,000 people following him. So I think it's one of those.
Jovic.
There it is.
Jovic puts LA Galaxy on the board first, 1-0 over the Colorado Rapids. LA Galaxy have been threatening all night. They clearly look like the better team. They finally pull one back. They are up 1-0 on the Colorado Rapids. Jovic, the lethal Serbian striker. Hey, they finally get their goal, man. They finally get their goal. Let's watch the replay on this. What a header by Jovic, man.
Yeah, he was going backward too.
But honestly, that's some pretty bad goalkeeping from Stefan, right? I mean, look how far back it is. I mean, it wasn't like a header that was just absolutely blazing through, right? I mean, he probably should have been a little bit more prepared for that.
Yeah, it looks like I forget who the defender too. That was poor defending, though. He was completely bent. I mean,
is that a Boubacar on him?
No. Oh, forget. No, you cannot miss a Boubacar with his hair.
Yeah, right. I see it right now. It's flopping in the wind, man.
Yeah, I still don't know how he does. If I ever get to talk to him, that's the first thing I will ask is how?
How does he even head the ball with that hair? Wouldn't that probably be hard to aim with your hair like that?
So it looks like he have it straight all the way to the tip, but it's like me having a shirt wet and that bothers me. I will be kind of thinking about it, but he's playing professional soccer with it.
Yeah, and he
But
was a very good defender for the Columbus Crew too
yeah,
back in the day when he played for them. Demonte Campbell said it was Reggie Cannon who actually was marking
okay,
Joveljic on that goal.
that was
Let's
bad.
see, we got a couple other comments. I wanted to get to this one by Busy K Busy. He says, "Do we think MLS will ever implement Pro Rel? We need it, but sadly
Mm,
the teams are fronting 500 million just to join MLS. Why would they want Pro Rel when they could lose it all so quick?" I'll let
guess
you
you
get
gonna
that one. I'll let you get that one first.
let. uh, as long as Don Glover is there, it probably won't because he does. You know what? It probably will never happen. It will probably be that European leagues will adopt the MLS format before MLS follows the pro rail because now this sport is fortunately all about the money. It's literally the biggest sport in the world that you will guarantee to make money. That's why every single hedge funds and billionaires want a soccer team because they know that's the cash cow. There's no other. NBA is a closed in league. NFL is a closed in league, and you have to know the knowledge. And there's only just a few. Soccer, you can go anywhere in the world, and if you have money, you will get your club. Wrexham is one of them. So you see, so they have that money. That's why all the big club you can think now is Manchester United, Chelsea. They all have rich, not owners. They have hedge funds and groups of owners. So before it will happen, there will be an MLS like format in Europe before the other way around.
I think the closest thing we'll see to that is we won't actually see a traditional pro rail system. We're going to see what a pass by Ricky Puig.
He's good.
I think that the closest thing we will see is that they will get to 36 to 40 teams. They will play one season where every team is in the league, and the top 20 to 18 to 20 teams, however many teams they have, whatever half is, right, will play. They'll do a full season. The top 18 to 20 teams will stay in the first league, and then the others will get relegated to an MLS two, and there will be a closed system, but there will be two leagues. I think that that's the closest we would see. But Mo, I think we would even love that because these, for lack of a better word, shitty teams would actually be held accountable, and if they're bad, they won't be in the first division anymore. How many teams did we see this year at the end, like San Jose, right? Were bad. They had 17 points the whole season, man. I mean,
Mm,
now that happens in the Premier League because the quality between the best team and the worst team is like huge, right? It's like huge. But in MLS, I don't think it should be that drastic like it is in the
no,
Premier League. What's their punishment for being bad? What are they playing for down the end of the season?
well, it looks like American sports. You don't really get punished. You just get put on top of the draft.
Exactly, but that's the thing in soccer, like that they don't have that. So bad
No,
teams aren't getting a top draft pick to get a good player. I mean, they're getting a draft pick, but it's not going to change your team like the NFL or
overnight, right?
NBA.
Yeah,
You're not
I
getting
think.
Victor Wembanyama, quality player in soccer.
I think for me, it's the worst part seeing San Jose, for example, and it's that it's the original teams that's doing so bad. If it was the team, less than 5 years, I will understand this. Like our team, of course, they still have to recoup some of their investment, so we understand that we won't get that $10 million player just yet because they have to recoup. But San Jose, for example, I wouldn't have thought that you will be the worst one and not compete with the teams that are spending $10 million on their full roster when you have 8 on one. So but they're also a league where, you only have just a few, so there's no punishment because who wants to punish their own boss?
No, exactly. And K Busy brought up a good point. He said, honestly, why is an owner go out and invest in players and spend
Mhm.
money when your
Yeah.
team stays in the top division and you're still making money? I think fans need to start holding crap teams accountable. I agree. I mean, I think that the most detrimental thing to this league is the cheap old owners who don't really care about moving the league forward. Now you have a team obviously with a that's newer, but I think even the city fans would like to see their owners invest a little more, right? I mean, that's kind of what the whole selling point of a new club is that they got owners who want to invest and be a club that competes. And St. Louis City SC have been trying to be more of a bargain hunting club where they don't spend a lot of money, but they spend strategically, try to get those cheap deals with good quality players. And I don't know, Mo, if you can really do that in Major League Soccer anymore. I think you have to spend at least a certain amount. I'm not saying you got to spend like Miami to win,
Right.
but you know what I'm saying? You got to spend more than what St. Louis City SC are spending if you want to really win this league.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm one of those few that still. My plan is, I always say that it was the whole 5 years, and then that's when you'll probably see me turn maybe be more demanding on when it comes to like player expenses. Because being in the business, I can see why they're not going to spend all that just yet, even though they was all privately spent. So let's be honest, where you like we're talking LAFC, for example, right? We're saying they have Magic Johnson, they have a group of investors that are millionaires and billionaires. So if everybody chips in 5 million, you have your 15, 20 million player versus City that have one family that got into the sport but brought a team, kind of to the city, for example, or like the Dodgers, right? If you look, it's owned by the same owner that has Chelsea, who has investment groups to spend on their clubs. LA Galaxy has investor groups. City has investors. So I do see that point. We have $2 million. Tucker is a two. It was the first $2 million player that we have at City, and he has a huge impact already on the team. So after 5 years, ask me, and I might turn if there's not that big spender. But Royce did say, St. Louis was not on his map, and he was one of those big players. Those guys that are St. Louis have a relationship with someone in the front office. So
Yeah, I just
yeah,
think that I would like to see them maybe do not necessarily sign a Marco Royce, but maybe do something like pet close to giving putting the Galaxy up 2-0. Maybe see them do the common theme in Major League Soccer these days of signing a South American number 10 or striker. And look, I'm not saying break the bank and spend 20 million, but maybe sign like a $6 or $7 million player. And I think that could impact and help their team. I expect I expect the Chicago Fire under Greg Berhalter to be very active in South America because you can get
sure.
some very good deals. You can get some very good players in South America, Argentina more specifically, or Uruguay. Spend $6-7 million and get a guy who can come in there and change your entire team. With the Seattle Sounders, I use this guy a lot as an example, but when they signed Nico Ladero in 2016 from Boca Juniors, he changed their team completely. They won the MLS Cup in his first year, and they ended up winning two
Yeah.
with him as their best player. I think that if now the Marcel, I think what is his name? Hartel? Is that
Yes.
yes? Now he is a very good player, obviously, in the Bundesliga too. He was scoring like 18, 19 goals. But I think if they got a true, I'm not very big on Loven. I think he's okay, but
Ooh, you might make a lot of enemies in St. Louis on that one.
I'm not saying he's bad, but like I know Klaus is obviously. I think that the fans are either. I can't remember if they're more sour on him or
They
if
are
they're
more
more.
sour on Klaus because he's recently has been playing more of the false nine, so he
Yeah.
has created more opportunity than scoring. But Leuven is supposed to be the more creative midfielder, 10, pretty much.
Now imagine if they spent $7 or $8 million on a striker from South America, how much that could change their team. Because Klaus
Well,
obviously
you know,
he would have,
Klaus where he's from, right?
yeah, Brazil, but he came from the Bundesliga
Yeah,
or the
it's
Bundesliga
true.
2. Maybe get that young. I think I want to say that Klaus is what, 27, 28,
I'm
something
bad
like
with
that.
age, but yeah,
Yeah,
about so.
something like that. And I think that they could maybe get like a $7-8 million striker. And I think Sporting Kansas City needs this too. There's a lot of teams that really need to adapt.
Who's that?
Your second favorite team. Your second favorite team. But I think that they need to adapt and do what other teams are doing. You need to sign these young South American players, and I think it could really help your team out. I just don't think that in Major League Soccer today, Mo, you can build a team primarily built with just European second division players. You got to have a little bit of South American flair
What
in there
about
as
the
well.
African players? Come on,
African
sure.
too, yeah, but the
Yeah.
core, you gotta have at least like one. I mean, look at the team we're watching right now, the Galaxy. That their best player this season is a South American right winger and Peck. And they obviously got the African, the Ghanaian left winger and Paintsel, who's been very good too. But you just have to have like a little sprinkle of maybe a little South American flair, and I think that would help. I don't even know. Does St. Louis City SC, now Klaus obviously is Brazilian, but I think he's
We have
more.
Celio is also Brazilian, but he broke his leg, early on where he was the one that had the most dribble. And so, yeah, so I think this is one of those factors where it's like, if you were to go to like South America and you said, do you want to come to St. Louis, Missouri? You probably will be getting a lot of questions of like where the heck it is. But if you say, let's go to LA, that won't be a problem. But I think it's probably one of those where also city is what, 3 years? So it's, you kind of have to have that history behind to where you have your name in those other countries. And I think that's probably what's kind of missing out. So I think the World Cup will be one of those huge things that will bring an eye to not only the cities that are hosting the tournament, but also the cities and the states that are hosting the teams that are playing in the World Cup. Because not everyone's going to be playing staying in those cities. I'm wondering who's going to be staying in St. Louis when they go and play to Kansas City or Chicago. Then that will be your time to show, hey, St. Louis is a soccer town. Whoever is staying here will show you what it is like. And maybe one of those players will, hey, St. Louis was it. And let's see if we can make something work out from there.
Well, also too, we're at the half too. LA Galaxy up 1-0 over the Colorado Rapids. Look at what Cucho Hernandez has done for the Crew. Look at how different of a difference he has made for them, and he is the young Colombian striker who has changed their team along with Nancy too. You got to give Nancy the credit, but obviously the players matter, and you have to do something on the pitch regardless of who's managing your team. You look at what he's been able to do. I just feel like the formula is simple. You just have to be able to spend just a little bit, and it will go do you a long way. And
it's coming.
Yeah, and look, I'm not even saying anything crazy, man. I'm not even saying that like St. Louis City has to spend 50 or 60 million, but just at least get you one player, $8 million, just one guy who can come in there and change things up a little bit. And I think that could be a difference maker for the club. We have a couple comments I want to get to. Let's see. K Busy says Colorado needs to punish the Galaxy on the sloppy turnovers from the back. Yeah, they look checked out. They you can tell that they're definitely missing Mihailovic because they're doing nothing in the final third. And at least that's kind of my opinion on their first half performance. Agent Winters says I could see Greg Berhalter becoming one of those coaches who gets recycled throughout the league. God help us if that happens. Hopefully that does not happen.
It will happen. He's way too deep into U.S. soccer. He he will have a job until he says he doesn't want one.
God help whatever team hires him after if he fails with the Chicago Fire. Cute Kenny says, even though I'm an LA Galaxy fan, I feel bad for San Jose. Hey, Kenny, don't
Wow.
feel bad for the Galaxy, or excuse me, San Jose, because help is on the way, and they are going to have your GOAT, right? Your LA Galaxy GOAT manager, Bruce Arena, fixing their leaky faucet or whatever you want to call it. Hell, it looks like it's a gaping hole in the roof, actually. It's terrible what they got going on over there. K Busy says, look at the audience Thiago Almada brought to Atlanta. He was a beast and helped bring in a new fan base to Atlanta. I think even Miguel Almiron and Joseph Martinez were integral into getting fans in the city excited for Atlanta United. They were playing that sexy brand of football, right? Very attacking, possession based, something we really hadn't seen to that a level in Major League Soccer, Mo. I'd like to see more teams kind of do stuff like that. Try to build a brand of style of play and make it exciting. And I mean, I guess Miami and Columbus are doing that, but I'd like to see more teams try to have an identity.
Yeah, I could see that on, since those, I guess they're kind of the exception. But so was Cucho, because from what I can see here, even with the RSL, is that it was players that kind of came to the league, to the LA Galaxy and the LAFC, and then I guess the crazy MLS rules kind of displaced them to another team, or did they come directly to Columbus? And outside of course, Thiago, you see Atlanta, it's not that difficult. And
I'm pulling up. I want to look this up real quick and just look at these fees because I pulled this up before, but I like to go back and look. We're going to just do only new players. Okay. Just want to look and see what I know Atlanta United dominates it. I mean, look at this. Look at this. I'm talking about one of your teams spending talking about your team spending $8 million on one player. Okay. Atlanta United has got 5 of the top 6 fees, 14.5 million euros. 14.5 million euros on PD Martinez, 12.28 million euros, 12 million euros, 11.5 million euros. I mean, this team
it's
just
not
spends,
even questionable.
It's not even, yeah. I know. Look, they should obviously have a little bit more hardware base or silverware based on like what they spend. But they're trying, right? That you can never say Atlanta United is being cheap or they're not trying to win.
Yeah, but Arthur is filthy rich, so he paid U.S. Soccer to have their camp in Atlanta. So you want that one, and that's where you see the picture, right? A certain owner that is not afraid to spend because he or she wants to win at all costs. And he knows that Atlanta is a sports city. So he has to spend that type of money. That's why they were that successful. And it's kind of helped to have Almada then win, World Cup and then go to Europe now. So he will have that Atlanta United badge wherever he goes. That will give Atlanta credits in the rest of the world too.
Yeah, but also too, like I'm just looking at this, like, and the top 10 is dominated by Atlanta, Mo. But
Right.
there is clubs that are historically cheap who are spending some money, and I don't want to say historically cheap, like they just don't, like they're adapting. So now they're not really cheap, but we see at least each club or a lot of these clubs spending at least one decent fee on one player. I mean, Chicago spent 11 million euros on Kuipers this past winter. Cucho Hernandez 2 years ago, they spent almost 10 million euros on him. The 2 years ago, Portland last winter they spent almost 10 million euros on Evander. Galaxy spent almost 10 million euros on Gabriel Peck. And Toronto obviously has a lot of players they've spent a lot of money on. But look at this, a historically cheap club, Houston Dynamo, this summer spent 9 million euros on Ezekiel Ponce. That and even Dallas, $9 million on Peter Musa. You see these teams that are spending money, at least 8, 9, 10 million euros on these players. They're starting to spend money, and other teams are going to have to do that, or they're going to get left behind.
Yeah, there's all the 1.0 teams, pretty much. I guess the 2.0 teams. So I could see it. I think for probably ours, I will say within the next couple of years, you will start to see that because expectations in St. Louis will grow higher and higher. Because I guess they already are at this moment. But yeah, I'm starting to think. I think more as the profile of St. Louis goes up. I think that will definitely help because we've sold some players that are doing decent. We'll say.
Let's see. Okay, so Klaus was their record fee, 3.2 million. Okay. And that was obviously their inaugural season. But even Edward Loven was only 1 million euro. Like, he's not even technically a DP. Like, I feel like he could be bought down because his transfer fee was so low. I mean,
see the impact he's doing.
No, listen, he is important for sure. Like, I'm not taking anything away from him, but imagine if he had, like I said, a Cucho Hernandez or a Gabriel Peck that he could work with. Now, the TAM players are definitely important to the equation, but you can't just only count on him. You got to give him some help.
I think Betcher did. I think Betcher did pretty well. So I think the way I see it is, I don't really know the specs on what the ownership team has invested at this moment, but they did show that they're willing to spend when the time is right, based on that last transfer window that I guess everyone said that City pretty much took over the last one. So I think year 5, that's probably where you might see a little bit of that spending.
Now, do we have any update on their coaching status?
No, that's their City is very good at keeping that information tight, just like they keep their jersey revealing tight. People are thinking that Hack might be the closest, but I wouldn't pass it loose on it.
You talking about Hackworth, the interim manager,
yes.
right? Yeah, see, I think that'd be a mistake because if you're going to fire Bradley Carnell, why would you keep his assistant coach, who was his main guy?
He was assistant coach for the first season, but then he was the sporting director of coaching. Yeah, so he was no longer the assistant coach this season. And I think one of the things that, if you were to go around the league and ask, Hack, is that if you look at all of the players except the European ones, he pretty much have known all of those other players since their teens. So, but I think now it's more the familiarity of the players that they have in our roster, is that they have tied to either Hack or Lutz or somewhat, where they were able to bring them into St. Louis. Even Berkey couldn't get Ruiz because he's like, hey, my wife say I want the LA part.
Yeah, but I just think that
it's coming.
They need a manager who can not necessarily fight Luntz, but push back and try to get them to spend a little more than what they are. I think Bradley was too much of, I trust Lutz no matter what. I'm just going to let him do his thing and I'm just going to coach. I don't think he was really trying to push to get more players.
That's a tricky one.
You need somebody like just example, because I think Patrick Vieira is going to end up being the coach for Atlanta United.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Patrick Vieira is going to be afraid to ask Garth Lagerwey, Hey, I need a center back.
No.
Hey,
Yeah.
I need a number 10. I need a striker. He's going to say whatever he wants, and he's not going to get at whatever he wants, but he'll say whatever he wants. He's not
True.
afraid to tell them what he needs, and I think
Well,
that's what St. Louis City needs.
yeah. I think probably our situation. I will say with time. I think for me, it's mostly of time. And I think a lot of the people are also looking at the financial part of it also. So, when you've wrote that many big checks early on, I don't know if one single family that owns a team, which is kind of rare these days, will be able to drop that type of money unless you're the Atlanta owner or someone else or another billionaire, but by like multiple X billionaires.
Yeah, I don't look. The next couple years are just going to be so important. I there's going to be a time, Mo, where there's going to be teams that are completely there's a gap between these teams
There
who
will
don't
be.
want to do anything and teams who are ambitious. And I think we're seeing that already. One of the examples I use is MLS isn't spending as much as I would like, and I've told you that
Mhm.
several times. But they got all these rules now that if a team does want to spend a little bit more, they can. Like they can spend. So if you have three DPs, I don't know if three players alone could separate teams this much. I mean, it could help, right? It can definitely win you games. But when you add U22s, that's three more players, right? So
Right.
now we're talking about six players that you could spend. Now, when you get six players, then that's when you can really start to see a gap between teams and how good they can be. And Miami, what they've done with their DPs and their U22s, and same thing with LAFC and the LA Galaxy. That's when you can start to see a gap. Now look at Sporting Kansas City, the team you love so much.
Mhm.
They haven't spent that much money. They're not adapting well to the current MLS. They have I think they have two true DPs, and I don't think they have a single U22. And if they do, they might have one, right? How is a team that is only signing one U22 and two DPs going to compete with a team that's got three U22s and three DPs and all of their players the DPs and the U22s, they're all good. How are they
Right.
supposed to compete with a team like that?
Yeah, you need the depth pretty much on that. Well, let's not forget though, LA Galaxy has not beaten St. Louis at all since. And it's still St. Louis has won one game and it's been two ties. So it this kind of shows, you know, that there's some disparity maybe on the, but it's also depending on all of the other teams that they've played against. So I was and like just looking at these two teams, Colorado destroyed St. Louis twice, but LA Galaxy was not able to do the exact same thing, but they're both in the playoffs. So I think and LA Galaxy last year they were piss poor because they were mismanaged and didn't have the right sporting director. And with one or two spending, here they are back. Colorado did the exact same thing with Hirovic and I forget the goalie's name
Oh,
when
Stefan, Zach
yes,
Stefan.
they brought him back from Europe. So it just shows, the proper investment will kind of help you do it. It's just now a question for St. Louis to catch up with that exact same thing.
No, I agree, and that's we can see the turnarounds. And I think we talked about this too. Just to use not trying to beat your team up,
Hey,
but
that's why I wear the colors. I have no problem.
but that's the thing though is like St. Louis was complacent with their team and they didn't add anybody hardly this offseason after their first place Western Conference season. And you just talked about the Rapids, you talked about the Galaxy, even Inter Miami, right? Because they weren't good last year. They didn't make the playoffs. They had to add some
Sure.
pieces. They spent some money. They added some pieces that they needed, and look at them. They're all in the playoffs. And Gabriel Peck down the flank sets up Jovic. Ooh, good save by Zach Steffen, but it was right to him. But
But the big thing is money. It's like you have.
what a pass by
I don't.
Pooch, by
Yeah,
the way.
I don't think St. Louis is don't want to spend it. Is that they have limitations to spend it because they have to be also fixally, um, you know, have to think about their expenses at the same time. Oh, is he
Pooch is
going?
threatening. Pooch is starting to come
He's
alive,
feeling
and
it. Yeah,
Pooch is okay. So K Busy says, "What a ball from Pooch," and Jaden the man says, "Pooch is so good."
he's good.
This is a very rare circumstance, right? The LA Galaxy were able to get a young playmaking midfielder, right? Now he played more as an 8 for the looks like Zach Steffen might be hurt a little bit. He played more as an 8 for Barcelona, but his skills are so good. Obviously, technically, the players are so good in Europe that they can come over here and maybe play a couple different positions just because the quality is a little lower. So maybe a guy isn't good enough to play a 10 for La Liga for Barcelona, but he's good enough to play it for the LA Galaxy. Well, he comes over here at 22 years old on a free transfer from Barcelona, where he probably could have went to mid-table La Liga teams. He could have went to mid-table Serie A teams. He had options, right? He were able to get a player of his quality on a free transfer. Like that's
He's
like
the
striking
exception, though.
gold. He
Yes,
is the exception,
yes.
but that is but that just shows that the players that want to come here. Looks like Abubakar is getting in a fight or getting a little chippy with Garces.
Love it.
But I know I like the fire, right? Show that you care. But getting a player like that who wants to be here, right? Choosing you over others. And he wasn't even making that much money at first. He was making 1.5 million. Not to say it's not a lot of money, but he
Before a
probably
professional athlete from Barcelona, it is, yes.
yeah, exactly. And he didn't get a DP contract at first. He had to come here and kind of prove himself.
Mhm.
It's just crazy to see all the players who want to come to America that the league prevents from coming here because of their situation, right? I'm sure that there's more Poojas out there that would come to certain clubs that the
It's
league
just the
prevents.
MLS blocking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, our Nick, a mutual friend of ours, when Griezmann was talking about coming to Major League Soccer, they had an agreement where he was going to make 20 million a year, and they wanted the league to help them out to pay for his salary, kind of like what they do with Messi, and they said no. So that's why that kind of got shot down and didn't happen this offseason. But that feels like something they should have made happen, because if they're going to pay for Messi's salary, why wouldn't they help with Griezmann? He's a big name. He's a player that wanted to come here, and he's younger. So that didn't make sense to me.
Well, and I was telling some other people that I forget a few weeks back, where the state of like soccer, for example, a lot of the players start looking at making changes when they see Europe. It's not just because it's the best leagues in the world, it's because it's life changing. So if you know that there's a country that's willing to pay that amount of money for you to have a life changing moment, just like the Saudis are doing, players will go over there. It's just a matter of fact. There's players now in the MLS that are starters that if they were to go to the second division of Germany, they'll most likely make more money. Or they go second division or the championship, they will make more money as starter in the MLS all the time. So I think it's one of those things to make it attractive to the rest of the world to come to the MLS. Why you don't have African players as much as you like to? It's because they will think that they're not as known players, so they won't pay them as much. But if you think about it, there's players in Europe now that they were not well known. We'll say Conte, for example. No one knew about him. He had to go to all of the channels and then to make it to the EPL and then win the Champions League with, I forget their name. Who did Colo Conte play with? Mahrez and Vardy.
Oh yeah, Leicester City.
Yes, right. So he had to go to all those divisions, go to Leicester City just to make it to Chelsea and then win the World Cup. Would you imagine if an MLS team would have catched him then?
Right? No, I 100%. And you know, I think it was someone in the comment section was talking about us chasing Liga MX, right? That's what our goal is. We're trying to chase them to be a better league, which I don't give a damn about Liga MX. That's not what I'm going for. Diogo says,
don't mess it
Mourinho
up
says,
for us.
yeah, don't. Who scores? Don't spoil. We got to check this out first. Is it Jovic with the brace? Jovic, is that Jovic? No, it's the left or
Do not
the
tell
left back.
me is that Nelson? No. Oh my God, San Luis is about to go.
Nelson with the banger. Nelson with the banger.
What? There's no way he just scored that.
Hey, John Nelson just finished that like a damn number 9 class, man.
No, San Luis is not too fond of him. How he left San Luis, and they were all making fun of him. I personally did not, because I chat with him often. So, I'm kind of nicer to players than other folks. But look at that. He, by himself.
At that strike. Hey, Mickey Yamane with a great pass through the legs. Look at this.
Going
right through the legs. Yep, through the legs. John Nelson finishing it like a number 9, right? Did that not look like a clinical finish?
Yeah, I thought it was a forward that did it.
I thought it was Jovic. Zach Steffen picking the ball at the back of the net. Looks pissed off. LA Galaxy up 2-0 over the Colorado Rapids. Wow.
I have to tweet that, because he would literally just shut 90% of St. Louis that we're talking.
John Nelson with an absolute golazo.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Everybody at St. Louis, they've seen Johnny Nelson.
What a goal. Holy John Nelson. That through ball was filthy. Hey, listen, I'm thinking that the Rapids might be in trouble.
Might? They just let Johnny Nelson score a golazo on them.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing. They don't have the firepower to come back. I mean, they're down. You and I talked about the defense being a liability for the Galaxy, and now they're up 2-0. I don't think the Colorado have the horses in this race to score and come back. I mean, they would have to get 2 goals. I just don't see it, man. I don't, like I said earlier, their strategy was to play kind of like a grimy, dirty slugfest of a game, really messy, and just hope to God they can get 1 goal and then try to, prevent the Galaxy.
Is that Nelson going again?
Oh, Ricky Puig with another goal.
Oh my goodness. And
Ricky
who carried the ball from the back all the way to midfield before it happened? He might get a how you call that, hockey assist?
I just want you guys to know that Ricky Puig is putting on an absolute show tonight. This team right here, Mo, this team right here is why I have them making it to the MLS Cup final. When they are playing like this, pinging balls, having fun, scoring at will, John Nelson scoring golazos, who's going to beat them? But in the Western Conference, I don't even think that LAFC can beat them with this. I don't know if anybody. The only team that I think that can beat them is Inter Miami, because they have the probably greater attacking talent than the Galaxy. But when they're playing like this, man, they're going to probably make it and cruise into the Western Conference Finals.
I'm still speechless that it was Nelson that was just pretty much made a 40-yard dash again to score.
Very impressive night for the LA Galaxy, putting on a clinic. They're up 3-0 on the Rapids, and the Rapids are definitely missing. They're missing Jordi Mihailovic, but I mean,
it's soccer, so it's just one player, though.
It is just one player, but I mean, what if they were missing Puig? What if the Galaxy had him out? But I want to get back to one of the points that you had made earlier about maybe targeting more African players in Major League Soccer. I think that the Eredivisie and the Belgian League do a very good job of not only targeting South American players, European players that aren't getting their chances, African players, Asian players. They're very good at targeting people from all around the world to build good teams. And I just want Major League Soccer to even be that, man. If Major League Soccer ceiling, Mo, which I don't think it is, was the Eredivisie, I would be okay with that. That's a good league. That's a good, fun league.
For development, yes, they've shown that they're good at developing players and then sell them to bigger teams. Yes, on that part, I can see it. They just like the Ajax of their days are long gone, which is kind of sad.
But hey, on a positive note, though, right? On a positive note, those teams are gone, but they have a competitive Feyenoord and a competitive PSV.
Yep.
Damn, Peck and Jonathan Lewis getting chippy. This game could get ugly, man. When you got a team losing 3-0, Jonathan Lewis looks like he's crashing out. Things could get interesting, man. Things could get interesting.
They got in his head. Yeah, he's losing it.
He is losing it, and this is not the time. This is not the time to lose your composure, especially when you're down 3-0. You got to keep your composure if you want any chance of winning this match. Looks like Yamane and Jonathan Lewis are good now. He looks like he's cooled down, but man, this is gonna get ugly. And then they're gonna travel to Colorado next. This looks. I predicted this series would be a sweep. It's looking like that's gonna happen. And Marco Royce is even playing, Mo. That's the scary thing. Marco Royce is not even playing in this game.
Yeah, he's so that this is why he had a fist about. Yeah, there's no need. I think it's just frustration. There was nothing to go that crazy. Hey, but I will also put it on recording that St. Louis is having one of their greatest days at this moment, because Colorado is a cronky team, and
The Rams,
majority of St. Louis is LA Galaxy at this moment.
Because the Rams?
Yes. So they're
understandable. And hey, listen, you're forgetting something else. Now, this isn't from St. Louis, but this is a reason for you, right? What other team does he own that
Arsenal.
you hate? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the team you hate more than any other team, I'm assuming, in the Premier League.
I won't say that hate, because they have the French correlation that made Arsenal who they are. So I'll say I dislike them.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're definitely not pulling for them when they're playing Chelsea.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, never.
But he's, look what, that's another thing that make people upset, is that you have a team like Arsenal who they spend any amount of money they need to be good, but they won't even spend anything hardly for their Rapids team. It's why owners like him need to sell their teams. People. Yeah. Now K Busy says, speaking of the Dutch league, what a game from Pepe. Yeah. Ricardo Pepe had a hat trick today for PSV. Looks like he's coming into his own. It's going to be very hard to bench him when De Jong comes back. I think he's going to have to start. And
perfect timing for him.
The Galaxy have another one in them. Look at that dribbling, man. Do you see this by Peck? Okay, how many people in the league can do that?
Celio can from City.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's injured. Just watch. You need to watch those games. But yes, he's injured. But Peck is different.
But that's the thing. Other leagues like the Eredivisie, right? And I'm not saying Peck is, a dime a dozen, right? Like easy, anyone can do it. But in other leagues that are quality, their teams, not only are there like probably 15, 20 Pecks in a league, some teams have 2 or 3 Pecks on a team, right? Quality player like that.
Yeah. But I think that one of the things that I see in difference to like the LA Galaxy and maybe the Cruise and LAFC is that their style of play is it's a lot more fluid than a lot of the other teams that, it's more calculated, where they want X amount of passes before you do anything. What Peck just did now is what Vinicius is doing in Spain, but he gets criticized for doing. So I think that's the difference, where you have less. MLS does not spend as much money in great defenders.
By design,
Yeah, but then you go and put those pick and they push, and then they go and destroy those defenders, and they're like, "Oh, they're the greatest on the planet." It was like, well, the defenders you have in that back four by 5 or 3, if you put them in Europe or even in Asia or in Africa, they might be on the bench. And those defenders are $10 million players. They're not $200,000 players. That's why Messi is killing those guys, because he's like, dude, it was at that Masia that I was playing against players like you, and that was the academy. Now we're professionals, and I'm an old guy, and I'm still making you guys look like younger kids.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing too. It's like, the defending. It just there's things that just need to be raised significantly in the near future, just to make it more balanced and more impressive. And they don't want as much defensive talent or spending because they want more goals, because they think it's better for the league and more entertaining. And I think the goal should be earned, not given, right? You shouldn't just be setting your defense up for failure just to get people to tune in, because then it doesn't really mean anything, right? I mean, it's like playing
score
FIFA.
15 goals.
It's like playing FIFA on like easy mode. Like, I mean, yeah, you scored 5 goals, but you're not playing on any difficulty, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's that bad. There are some good defenders in the league.
Oh yeah,
but there needs to be more. The defense. So the attack qualities here, the defense qualities here. We need to find a way to like close the gap as much as we can. And did you see that? I've been tweeting about this for probably a couple months now. But did you see when the reports came out of the salaries that Zimmerman was making $3.5 million a year?
I guess that's the price to pay when you get a U.S. national team defender.
That's just crazy, though. Like, I don't know anybody who's like saying, "Yeah, man, I got to go see that Nashville SC game because Walker Zimmerman's playing." Like, I don't think people are like that. I mean, I've never heard anybody say that. And you could probably even, I bet you could even get like a decent, what a pass by Pooj, man. He's on fire tonight.
Yeah, he's feeling it now.
Him and Peck are just going crazy tonight.
Well, they can smell blood now. Score 3 already.
Look at this passing. This crisp, bing, 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 pinging. Like, I mean, a ticky-tack ball almost. Like, you don't, like, this is becoming more prominent in MLS. Just this quick passing and it's just not as sloppy. It just looks more crisp than it has in years past.
3-0 will do that to you.
Right? The confidence. They probably do feel like Barca today. Let's see. Jaden the Man says, yeah, it's crazy to be paying players less than $100K per year. No wonder the quality is garbage. I wouldn't say it's garbage, but I do think that there's some teams that are obviously not very good defensively.
Yeah, I won't take it as far as garbage, but it is good for, I think, the forwards or the midfield or the teams they were playing with. But if the teams are now going for the big names, I understand that they want to sell tickets. That's why they have those offensive players. But also you have to have that balance on there. And you're starting to see a little bit of the difference here is that I watched yesterday where Alba was by himself when he scored that goal. He's like, who in their right mind will let Jordi Alba by himself, give him 10 seconds to look up and pick a spot and shoot it? Someone should have crashed him a long time ago. So maybe having these players now will kind of teach some of those other teams and defenders to adapt to this type of players. But I think maybe it's just that this season, they're not ready to do just that yet.
No, I don't think so too. And K Busy brought up a good point. He said MLS used to send a good amount of defenders to Europe, even low-level European teams. The last good American defender to go to Europe, sorry, I was making sure Colorado almost scored there. The last good American defender to go from MLS to Europe was Matt Miazga. And obviously that didn't work out for your Chelsea.
That's a bad reference because he literally burned and crashed. He never made it to the first team.
He was on
That's
loan army, Chelsea loan
yeah.
army.
Yes, he never went to Stamford Bridge to play. That's bad.
Yeah, and he I mean he's obviously was able to find his form
Yeah,
back when he went to Cincinnati. He was defender of
yeah,
the year last year. Yeah, I
questionable.
don't I think that what their hope was is that these homegrown players, right, would be going against these guys in training and games, these good attackers, and then they would adapt and their level would rise, right? The quality. But I just don't think the homegrown player has adapted well enough um, to the quality of play. You don't see a lot of homegrown players that are shining through in MLS like you do in Europe. I mean, it's not uncommon to see a 17, 18-year-old player ball out
15?
15 yeah, well, I'm even being conservative. I'm not even
Yeah,
going
yeah,
that
you're
young.
being yes.
I'm just saying even 16, 17, 18-year-old. You
Yeah.
don't see that in Major League Soccer. You see guys that are like 22, 23 before they look decent, if
Yeah.
they even do at all. You would think that there would be some of this money they're spending on these academies. You would think that there would be some guys who would, in training, playing against these guys would be decent. Not even great, man. I'm just saying at least an average defender in Major League Soccer, and they're not.
I think I guess probably some of my club soccer friends might not like that one, but I think they're being slowed down when it gets to the structure of a lot of the club teams. You're following their style of play. You're following just the way they want you to play. So if you have like one of those, would you imagine like the Neymar of this world having to grow up in the US? He would have never attempted the dribbles he's doing now to reach that level. And it's because they have the academies that we're talking like in Brazil and stuff. It's the professional team that have those academies and they run them. Here
Marco
we
Royce is
have
coming on, by the way.
yes, and here we have club teams that are run by themselves and then work with teams to do it. I think that's probably part of the problem. And what Messi was discovered at 5 or 6,
Uh,
and
I
then
I want to. I think he played at Newell Old Boys for a couple years, but I know he went to Barca at like 12 or 13
right.
years old.
But you see how it started was discovered by the professional team, and they put all the asset, all of their money, everything they had available for that player development versus what your parents can afford.
Ooh, Peck with a bad pass. He had him wide open, Joveljic. Um,
And I'm one of those parents, right? We can afford that, so that's why our kid is able to play with like the top club academy in St. Louis. But I can guarantee you that if we were going to some other places that kids that or parents that cannot afford it, I can guarantee you probably could find 5 or 6 star as good as them. They just need that look. Oof.
see this? You better score here. Oh, just wide.
That's what it is.
But let's look at Peck, right? Because obviously my buddy tactical manager Filippo, he
The
talks
man.
about he just talks about how in Brazil they're kicking a ball in the street at 5 years old. They're playing all day. They'll
He's
play
being nice when he said 5.
five, yeah, maybe even a baby,
We're
right?
talking like 3.
Three
Yes.
play, and it doesn't matter if they're playing in a dirt field,
Mhm.
grass, the parking lot, their home. They're kicking the ball around. They're trying crazy things. One of the most memorable pictures I remember was it wasn't when he was a kid, but it was Gabriel Jesus showing a picture of him on the streets of Brazil in 2014 during the World Cup, and then obviously he played for Man City like a year or two later. But just that culture, right, of them adapting and playing at a young age. Peck has this ability to dribble with both feet. He's got pace. He's got vision. He's got scoring ability. He's got things that you can't really teach at a certain point. He just grew up with it. He's just got that. I call it the X factor, right? And having him, like, he's just got that special ability, Mo, where that's why I think he has a chance to be the record transfer fee in Major League Soccer, because he does things that you can't really teach, right? I mean,
Mm-mm.
he's got the pace and he's got the dribbling. And I mean, look at him down the flank here. He's already played 70 minutes. Look at him already passing Marco Royce up.
And he almost
Oh, he almost scored again.
push.
Can
Yep.
push.
Nope. Oh, that was lucky. That
Oh,
was so lucky.
wow. Off the crossbar. Off the crossbar.
Yeah, and LA Galaxy fans are going crazy because our friend from Comic SC, one of the supporter group of, he just put a picture of Marcelo from Real Madrid, who also a right back scoring goals like no other. They say that's Johnny Nelson tonight. Live footage.
I'm telling you, it's like it's a I guess a good luck charm, or the Galaxy got this good mojo going this year. So even if you've struggled with a team, you jump on their team and things work out for you, which hasn't been the case for them in a while. Like you said, John Nelson maybe showed flashes at St. Louis City SC, but then never really put together. He comes here, scores a golazo. Don't know if he ever scored a golazo like that for St.
I
Louis
don't
City
know.
SC.
They were saying that he was more of the secure guy that will stay in his space. I don't know what they told him, what they gave him to eat today, but yeah, I've not seen him do that this
Uh,
year or last year.
Diogo says, here in Brazil, you could put your kid at school at 4 and you play either futsal or in reduced pitch. Yeah, I mean, kids over here are playing AYSO soccer at like 5, and it's kind of a joke, honestly, compared to like other countries, right? I feel
No,
like I think
it,
Peck's gonna get one tonight, by the way.
it's not even close.
It's a joke, right?
And I think, and it does not help that there's multiple sports also that kind of help, um, kind of move him. Like Ocho Cinco, for example, right? When he was talking, he said soccer was his first sport, but when he saw that football was going to get him out of the ghetto and was paying him millions of dollars when the MLS was paying hundreds of thousands, a kid that's that specimen of an athlete, he's going to go to where the money is because that's what's going to get him out of trouble, where his environment. There's not many players unless from other countries that said MLS is my way out of X place. There's
Not
not
yet.
that many.
Not
Yes.
yet, though, right? Not
Yes.
yet.
But there's some that that still, those guys that make 500,000 or 300,000, you're out. You're comfortable if you spend your money right. But there's some of those kids that like, this is my way out. For our sport here is not really, because it's club soccer. Those of us that can afford it, then our kids do the sport. But our kids will not say, hey, I'm going to play soccer because it will get me out. My son is definitely not going to say that.
Well, K Busy brought up a good point. He says, my high school team, my coach, I had to play counterattacking soccer and soak up the pressure because I still had kids who couldn't even properly pass or trap at
Oh,
16. Oh,
there
Jovic
you go.
Jovic with the brace. LA Galaxy are absolutely on fire tonight. The Rapids look like
Yeah, they're dead.
they don't even want to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge reality check. He did not even celebrate.
Hey, it's hard to celebrate when you've already done it already this game, you know?
He did not even celebrate.
But he brought up a good point talking about how players on his team, 16-year-olds, right? His high school, he's coaching his high school soccer team. They don't even they can't even properly pass or trap a ball at 16 years old.
Yeah.
Let's just say that they're not going to the MLS Super Draft, right?
Well, we do have a national team goalkeeper that did not play soccer until high school, and he's your number one goalkeeper. I mean,
Yeah, and I think there is circumstances like that, like athletes that can adapt and do the position. But I mean, to have a whole team, Diego Fagundes comes on. I think he's came on for maybe it looked like
Bergman,
Jovic. Did Jovic come
Bergman,
out? Yeah, no,
Jovic, yes, and
yeah.
yeah, Fagundes.
And Bergman came on for Cerrillo. Yeah, I think that there's definitely some circumstances where that it could improve, and I think it will. I think 26 is really going to get a lot of people interested in
It
soccer.
has to.
Soccer will eventually be the third most popular sport, and I'm not even talking about playing. I'm talking about watching. It will be the third most popular sport sooner than later because soccer is a way more entertaining sport to watch than baseball. It's a way more entertaining sport to watch than hockey. I don't know if it'll ever pass basketball and football in this country, but I know it can pass baseball and I know it can pass hockey.
Hey, basketball, you saw the Clippers. They have a supporter section. You know who they got that from. There's only one sport where they got that spot, and that's from ours.
100%.
And yes, and I've taken a lot of other people that were not familiar to soccer or thought it was boring, brought them to a city game, and they're like, I'm coming back. Because it's watching it on TV is probably for those soccer nerds like us, like to watch it or cannot go to it. But atmosphere, you cannot beat that. It's like, even if your team's winning in baseball, you still gonna sit. You're not gonna. I mean, our stadium people stand for 90 minutes, and if there's extra time, we're standing. And there's the whole stadium, not just supporter section.
I'm going to try next
Go.
year to visit more stadiums and games.
I have a seat for you.
Okay.
You can.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely need to go check out St. Louis City SC. So I live in Knoxville, right? Tennessee. And I'm 4 hours from 4 different clubs. I'm 4
You're lucky.
hours from Nashville. I'm 4 hours from Cincinnati. I'm 4 hours from Charlotte. And I'm 4 hours from Atlanta. So I've got 4 teams around me that I can go watch, right? I've been to Nashville. I've been to Charlotte now. I need to talk to some clubs and see if they can, work something out, and maybe me and my wife go on some road trips. But I do want to check. That's a bucket list thing. I want to go to every single stadium at least one time, right? I mean, you have to. I mean, how can you be MLS moves and not go to every stadium at least once, right? So hopefully that happens. I definitely want to go check out at least next year, right? The 4 clubs closest to me.
Oh, you have to.
So my dad is from Cincinnati, so I want to go check out Cincy, maybe go see some family because their stadium is beautiful. Their stadium is world class. That is a Premier League quality stadium, Mo. They did not cheap out on that. Not saying St. Louis City isn't either, but you know what I'm saying.
We thought about going, so you let me know if you decide to go in those because it's close to St. Louis as well. Let me know because I do have to make a trip to those, and my wife has family in Cincy, so I think that might be one. Let's plan it.
100%. Yeah, I'm definitely want to do some stuff next year. Let's see. Sean Fisher says rule changes ruining American sports. I mean, I don't know how it's ruining American sports. I mean, maybe you could say it's ruining Major League Soccer, but I don't know how it's ruining the sports. They obviously need to do a couple different things, and I think they will because they don't want to be embarrassed in the Club World Cup in 2025. I think they're going to do something to try to help Miami and Seattle if they want to compete. Because I was told that Jorge Mas has said he doesn't want to be embarrassed at the 2025 World Cup, Club World Cup. He said he's playing all these good teams, Mo, showcasing his club versus other clubs, good clubs, obviously, right?
Yeah,
the best in the world.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to get embarrassed and get beat 4-0 or 5-0 on the global stage. He wants to prove that Inter Miami is one of the best clubs in the world. Now, I know people are going to laugh at me for saying that, but he wants to make it that, right? So
as he should.
Yeah, and me and you both know that if he was allowed to build his team the way he wants, they would be one of the best teams in the world. So So he wants them to let him spend a little more so he can build a team that's good enough to at least win a couple games at the Club World Cup. Now, they're not going to beat a Man City or a Liverpool or, a Bayern Munich, but they could be competitive with some of these Brazilian, Argentinian teams, some of the African teams, some of the Asian
Sadly,
clubs.
yeah.
They could compete with them, and that would be good for Major League Soccer. It would look good.
I agree with that. As long as they, those top tier teams that are going from, if they manage, I think if they manage those games, maybe a 2-0 will still not be as bad because, yes, Messi, but, if we were to put him back in Spain or put him in, the EPL, he might not do as well as because he may have the same level of respect, but they will still make sure that he is not comfortable. From the game I've seen in the MLS, they play hard enough against him, but there's no player in their right mind in the MLS at this moment that will go toe to toe with Messi or a hard tackle. Oh, is it?
Oh, a little wide, a
Pencil is
little
gonna
wide.
die.
Well,
But
so
yes, there's none of them that will do a hard tackle on him because they know most likely that will be their last paycheck in MLS.
100%. So let me ask you this, since you follow obviously African football so closely, what technically is the best domestic league in Africa? Is it the South
Hmm.
African League? Is it the Nigerian League?
I think
Um,
South Africa probably is the best one, and it's the best ran. Um, they literally have players that live so well and they're well managed that they do not have to leave their home country.
is that where the Chiefs are? I forgot
Yes,
what the
yes,
the
Kaiser Chiefs. Yes,
Yes, and then
yeah,
I think the Orlando Pirates.
the
Is that
Pirates. Yes,
yeah? And those are two very good teams, right?
yes, and they are spending crazy money. Those guys, I think, just Bloom that we have from City and all, you will have to bring them a lot of money for them to actually leave their home country for it. So, and they win a lot of trophy within the continent of Africa.
So
And I think Morocco and Algeria have a few top teams there too, but South Africa certainly have those players.
I think the Chiefs are one of the teams in the Club World Cup, if I'm not mistaken, representing
I'm gonna have
Africa.
to check, but yes. But you saw the name, right? The Chief, they got it from the Kansas City Chief because
Is
the
that
owner
really
was a fan of American football.
is that really where
Yes.
they got it from?
Yep. That's because he's also lived in the US and all that before he moved. Got
I
his
can't
teams.
remember the name of the defender, but back in 2015, what a pass from Puig to Peck. Um, I remember in 2015 that New York City FC were scouting a defender from the Chiefs, and he was really good, and everybody was talking about how he was probably the best defender in their league. And I started doing some research on him and found out a little bit more about it, and saw how much good talent is in South Africa. Like you
Mhm.
said, very good clubs. And I honestly think that right now, maybe the attacking talent would be the advantage on for MLS, just because they do have a lot of good attacking talent, but all around the South African, the Chiefs, the Pirates, they probably are better teams all around than MLS. They probably got
Oh
better
yes.
depth.
Oh yes.
So
Yes.
if Miami aren't able to spin, a team like that could just absolutely wax them, right? Beat them pretty badly. I'll
Yeah,
have to
and
pull
I
it up
think and
for
they
it.
will have less of that um I think how we call it is like the respect part where you have enough respect because you know who's playing in front of you, but also that you have enough respect for yourself to know that you do not want X player to make you look bad. Now, I think maybe in the MLS, there may be that little bit of that stardom because it's messy. Because you saw it in France when he played for PSG. They knew he was messy, but they still made sure that he did not do the things that he's used to.
Exactly. And okay, so I looked this up. So the it looks like the team's called the Sundowns. That's actually the
Oh,
team
they're cute.
from that's a team from South Africa that's representing the
Yes,
the
and they're actually a bit better at this moment than Kaiser Chief, and even beat them not long ago. So they're like their biggest rival that they try to come back against. Orlando Pirates, I think they're a little bit down the South Africa Premiership.
So
Place.
Africa has a Champions League, right?
Yes, they do
Now,
have.
how does that? So you know how people always criticize our Champions League, but man, Africa I think is the second biggest country land size. So how? I mean, they have to travel pretty crazy all over. I mean, South Africa to
And
Egypt or
yes,
whatever,
and not the best travel arrangements than
right? Yeah.
most places. Yes.
So that's why
Oh,
who's
there
with
you
the
go.
brace?
Yep.
5-0.
Mm,
Oh,
no,
did you see the celebration?
yeah, he's
Yeah,
good at that.
this is over, guys. This is over. The series is over. The LA Galaxy are going to sweep the Colorado Rapids. Ricky Puig is playing out of his mind. They're toying with him at this time.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, this is one thing that I wanted to bring up about the Galaxy that hurts them a little bit is that they hadn't choked away the final decision day, they would have been the number one seed, and everybody who wanted to they would have had to go through Dignity Health Sports Park to get to the MLS Cup. And now they're going to have to potentially play LAFC at LAFC if they both advance the Western Conference Final. But look how good they are at home. They have not lost a game all season at home. LA Galaxy apps. Joveljic and Puig have a brace, and John Nelson has a golazo. What a night for the LA Galaxy. What a night. Ricky Puig with the brace. You know, sometimes when I'll tweet about Ricky Puig, sometimes he'll retweet it randomly. He'll search after the game people who say something nice about him, and he'll retweet a couple posts. So you should try it. You should say Ricky Puig is the best midfielder in the MLS, and I bet he would retweet you tonight.
I think anyone that criticized him at this moment, his finger trigger is going to be crazy after this game. Is Pencil going to get his? Oh, that was poor dribbling.
Hottest team in the West right now. I mean, I think they are. The LA Galaxy might be the hottest team in the Western Conference. And like I said, I think they're going to play Inter Miami in the MLS Cup final. And they're a team that can score 5 goals in a game, 5-0. I mean, Colorado's absolutely embarrassed. I wasn't a big fan of Chris Armas being hired because, like you said, you talked about recycled coaches. The dude's gotten fired from the Red Bulls. He's gotten fired from Toronto FC. And this is his third coaching job. I think you should get 2 strikes and you're out. I think if you get fired twice, you don't deserve to get a third job unless you've done something significant like won an MLS Cup or done something like that. He definitely hasn't won an MLS Cup.
So didn't he coach somewhere in Europe? Wasn't he?
He was an assistant coach for Manchester United for a couple.
So that kind of puts a little that pretty much goes on his resume. That's probably the very top, even though I'm impressed that Colorado has spent that type of money to begin with, and if I have a coach that has somewhat of a pedigree, but he's still young too.
What do you consider young?
For coaches, if you're like under 45, I think you're a young coach, especially if you've played before. Then, that kind of take a lot of these years out because it doesn't count for me. Maybe if you were a younger coach from your very younger days and then you move up the chain, then we can add those years. But if you were like sort of a player and then you kind of transition, for me, those more experienced coaches like, Real Madrid, he has lost a lot of jobs as well, but he's still at Real Madrid and won.
That's because he's won, though.
Everywhere.
It's because he's won a lot of trophies. But Chris Armas, he's 52 years old. I'm not a big fan of his. I think I'd rather give other people an opportunity. But he overall, even if they did get absolutely smoked by the LA Galaxy, they have had a good season overall compared to what they had in years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think that let's see what Ricky Puig hat trick is all we ask. Hey, could happen. Why are we talking about Real Madrid? Let's just keep today about the bigger club, Barca. They did. They won 4. Was it 4-0 or 5-0? I think it was 4-0, right?
It happens.
You don't like Barca, right?
I, I I'm not. I'd stay away from Spain. I just watch. I'm I'm a fan of Real Madrid, maybe a little bit more based on history, but there's also a lot of French ties too. That's about it.
Zizou. Yeah,
Yes.
man. Yeah. But hey, listen, and Benzema,
Sorry.
obviously.
Yes. Sorry.
Um, let's see. 4-0 combined with their win over Bayern. They won 8-1.
But don't forget though, this is one game. You have to finish. It's not how you start, but it's how you finish.
I agree. And it would be funny though, because Barcelona definitely doesn't have the spending power that Madrid has right now. They're broke, right? They can't spend anything hardly. So that is, especially because everybody was saying with Mbappe, your boy Mbappe going to Madrid, he was going to win the Ballon d'Or. He was going to be the best player in the
I
world
never said that.
officially. I don't know. I
I
think you said it
never
when you
said
had,
that.
I think you said it when you had your Sporting Kansas City hat on. I think you did. I think you might have. But either way, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he was supposed, you've heard it too. He's supposed to be the Ballon d'Or winner. They were going to win the Champions League. They were going to potentially go undefeated in La Liga. And
Oh,
now they are 6 points behind Barcelona. Barcelona has only lost one game this year. They're 10 wins, 0 draws, 1 loss. They are at my Barca boys look like they are back, and I couldn't be more excited. And look, you know, as a neutral, right? Because I don't have a team. It is nice to see the Galaxy back being. It is nice to see the Galaxy back being relevant, right? I mean,
yeah.
they haven't been good in so long, like really competitive for a cup. And it looks like this is back to the Bruce Arena days. And I'm curious to see if they will be able to do it. And Greg Vanny has 2 MLS. Does he have 2? No, he has 1 MLS Cup. He's been to a couple, but he's got 1 MLS Cup. So he gets a free pass of the recycled coaches, right? Because he's
Yeah.
actually won something.
Yeah.
But you know, I'll be curious to see if they can actually do it. I mean, this will be an interest. This is going to be an exciting playoffs. I just hope you guys are ready. Just enjoy it. We had the stream last night. We got the stream tonight. There will be no stream tomorrow night, though. I am taking a break. I am not live streaming the LAFC Vancouver matchup. Nobody is excited about that game because they're tired. I will not be live streaming the Charlotte FC Orlando City. I will be taking a break. I will let you guys know when I do another live stream. I'll make sure to post it on Twitter. But hey, if you haven't already, like the show down below, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we're on a mission to hit 5,000 subscribers. We're 575 away. We are going to hit that number before the end of the MLS Cup playoffs. And we are going to do a jersey giveaway when we hit that 5,000. So make sure you subscribe, share the channel with a friend, share the video with a friend, and let's hit that 5,000 subscribers. And also, Mo, tell the people where they can find you at.
Oh, everywhere at Mo Football TV. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it in all social platform.
Make sure you give Mo a follow. He does great work. He's a great up and comer. He's got good content. He's a good friend of the show. Make sure you go support Mo at Mo Football TV. I retweeted our post tonight. He had made a post about our live stream. I retweeted it. If you have any trouble, just go to my page, and it's one of the last reposts I had. You can find him there. Man, this has been a quick stream too. I think the time's flown by, especially with a game that's been so one-sided, right? I mean, sometimes when it's a blowout, it can make the game feel a little slow.
Right. It's fast when you have fun.
Yeah, for sure. I'm always this is like what, your 3rd stream with me?
About so.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's well, they might have another one. I'm looking at Paint Soul. Peck wide open.
He wants his. Oh my goodness.
Oh, he had Peck wide open. Meatball Yaros 2 says, get that 5K. Listen, we're going to hit that 5K. We're going to do it. 2 goals this year to end out, right? 2 goals for MLS Moves by the end of this year. We're going to hit 30,000 followers on Twitter. We're 2,200 away. We're We're gonna hit 30K followers, and we're gonna hit 5,000 subscribers. It's gonna happen.
Make
We're
it
gonna do it
happen.
because of you guys, and we're gonna keep this growing because we're the #1 MLS content creator. We're giving you all the playoff predictions, playoff watch-alongs, all kinds of different videos. So I appreciate the support. Mo, before we head out, is there anything you'd like to finish off on?
No, other than I don't know if you promote those, but the MLS Next Pro, there's the playoffs now, and I will be at City Park tomorrow for the D Town versus SL City. So I think that's probably one that needs to be looked at as much as well, because the final is going to be a little bit crazy. North Texas tomorrow is San Luis City SC versus the Town. So if you want to watch the future, I think they need a little bit more love. That's the only San Jose team that's actually doing something well is the Town SC.
I agree. So make sure you show your MLS Next Pro team some love. And Mo is doing a lot of coverage with MLS Next Pro. I think you'll be doing interviews or predictions, watch alongs. I know that's some of the stuff you do, so make sure you check them out on that. Mo, I appreciate you coming onto the stream with me tonight, my friend.
Anytime.
Hope you all enjoyed. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.